All right, Johnson & Johnson. I feel like everyone knows them. You've got baby shampoo, you've got Band-Aids. They've got all those over-the-counter meds.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But they're way bigger than just those things that you see in the drugstore.
Absolutely.
So we're going to deep dive into their business model today and see how they make money.
Sounds good.
See what kind of costs they have and what makes them so special in this really tough market.
Yeah.
Healthcare is super competitive.
Yeah, and what's interesting is J&J, they've actually, changed things up a bit.
Okay.
They spun off their consumer health business.
Right.
So back in August 2023,
Okay.
and they made this whole separate company called Kenvue.
Okay.
So now we can really focus on their main stuff, like what's really driving their business.
Got it.
And that's innovative medicine and medtech.
Okay, so they're kind of streamlining, going for like this healthcare powerhouse feel.
Exactly.
So tell me about these two segments. What exactly are we talking about here?
All right, so innovative medicine, that's all about pharmaceuticals, right? So they're tackling the biggest health challenges. Think immunology, infectious diseases, neuroscience, even oncology. They're behind some cutting-edge meds you might have even heard of, like Darzalex, Stelara.
Yeah.
Then on the other side, you got medtech. That's where their medical devices come in.
Okay.
So think orthopedics, surgery tools, even vision care products.
So they're in a lot of areas.
Yeah.
From like life-saving drugs to, the tools surgeons use every day.
Absolutely.
And this is global, right? They're not just serving the U.S.
Global reach is huge for them. They're
Yeah.
serving people all over the world.
Yeah.
And speaking of success, let's look at those 2023 sales figures just to give you an idea. Innovative medicine pulled in $52.3 billion.
Wow.
MedTech added a very respectable $30.4 billion.
Okay, those are some big numbers. So clearly they're doing something right.
Yeah, they are.
But big sales, that usually means some big costs too, right?
Oh, for sure.
So what are we talking about? What are some of the main expenses they have?
I mean, research and development, that's a huge cost driver in this industry.
Yeah.
Think of it like the engine behind all the innovation in pharmaceuticals and devices.
Right, yeah.
And J&J. They shelled out a whopping $15.1 billion in R&D in 2023.
Whoa, that's a lot. What are they actually spending that money on?
Well, a lot of it goes to those milestone payments for new drugs, especially within innovative medicine. You think about those breakthrough therapies.
Yeah.
They also spend a lot on acquisitions, especially to beef up their medtech side.
Oh.
They acquired this company called Laminar, which added to that R&D spending.
Interesting. So they're not afraid to invest big to stay ahead of everybody else.
That's right.
But I'm also curious about what they're not investing in.
Oh, yeah.
Because they have made some choices to back out of certain research programs, right?
Yeah.
Especially with vaccines.
That's true. Sometimes you got to make those tough choices to keep your portfolio strong,
Yeah.
Exiting some programs, even restructuring, it lets them prioritize the areas that have the biggest potential.
Right.
Both for actually helping patients and for a return on their investment.
Yeah. It's about spending money, but spending it in the right places.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, it's all about what are they giving back to their customers?
Right.
So who are those customers and what need is J&J filling for them?
All right, so we can kind of break down J&J's customers into two main groups.
Okay.
First, you got the patients themselves.
Of course.
They benefit directly from J&J's innovations. Could be a life-changing medication, could be a medical device that just makes their lives better.
Right, makes sense.
And then you have the healthcare professionals.
Yep.
So doctors, nurses, specialists, all the people using J&J products to provide that top-notch care.
So it's making sure those products are effective and safe, especially for building that trust with both patients and the people treating them.
Exactly. That trust is built over decades,
Yeah.
It's a key part of what J&J offers.
Absolutely.
You have a strong brand reputation, proven product efficacy, that commitment to safety. Those are all must-haves to attract customers in healthcare.
And don't forget that global reach. They're helping so many different types of people.
Oh, absolutely. Their ability to reach patients around the world, that's a big advantage.
Yeah.
But we can delve more into that and other ways they stand out from the competition in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay, sounds good.
So we were talking about how J&J really stands out in this super competitive healthcare market.
Yeah, it's a tough world out there. You've got the big guys, the pharmaceutical giants.
Right.
You've got those smaller biotech companies, and they're all trying to get a piece of, the market share.
Yeah.
So how does a company with J&J's history and size stay on top.
It's like a balancing act. They have tons of resources, right? They can do those massive research projects that the smaller companies can't even dream of.
Yeah.
But they got to be flexible too.
Yeah.
You know, keep up with how fast healthcare is changing.
So they're like a, I don't know, like an aircraft carrier.
Okay.
They can move like a speedboat.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, they do it in a few ways.
Okay.
First, their history and legacy, that helps a lot.
Makes sense.
They've built up this reputation for being trustworthy. They're committed to their credo, which is all about like responsibility to patients, employees, communities.
Right.
And it's not just like words on paper.
Yeah.
It helps them adopt good people,
Yeah.
build strong relationships with healthcare providers. Then there's their size and global reach.
Right, right. We saw those billions in revenue.
Exactly. And that financial strength, it lets them invest in R&D, ride out tough times,
Yeah.
expand into new markets.
So it's like a bigger safety net than the smaller companies have.
Exactly. But it's not just about being big. It's also about having a variety of products, like with pharmaceuticals and medical devices,
Right.
that gives them a unique edge.
So they're not putting all their eggs in one basket.
Right, exactly. They can address more healthcare needs, and there are synergies between those different product lines.
Got it. But in healthcare, you got to keep innovating, right?
Oh, absolutely. J&J is always pushing the limits. Their R&D is all about coming up with new therapies, new technologies, stuff that tackles those unmet medical needs,
Okay.
that drive to innovate. That's a big part of what sets them apart.
It sounds like they have a solid base, global reach, a bunch of different products, and that commitment to innovation. But none of that just happens on its own. How do they make it all work? What are the key parts of, how they actually operate?
Well, it all starts with that R&D engine.
Okay.
It's not just the billions they spend.
Right.
It's about having a culture where science is valued. Collaboration, creativity. They
Yeah.
got to get those top scientists.
Right.
Give them what they need, let them explore.
So they're making like an environment where new ideas can flourish.
Exactly. But coming up with those ideas is just the beginning. Once you've got a product, you got to make it. That means strong manufacturing, production. They have to do it on a massive scale.
Right.
Keep things high quality.
Right, of course.
And make sure their supply chain is reliable so they can get products to everyone.
That must be tough with how global they are.
It is, yeah. It's like coordinating a global dance.
Yeah?
Different rules in every country, making sure the quality is there the whole way. And then you can't forget sales and marketing.
Of course.
Healthcare is a very regulated industry. You have to build good relationships with the healthcare professionals.
Yeah.
It's not about flashy ads.
Right.
It's about giving them accurate info, teaching doctors about the new therapies, making sure everything is promoted ethically and responsibly.
It's about building trust with those healthcare providers, right?
Yeah.
Like a partnership.
Exactly. And we can't leave out regulatory compliance. Healthcare has tons of rules.
Of course.
J&J has to navigate that carefully. Every product has to meet the highest safety standards, be effective, and they got to follow all the laws and guidelines.
So it's a lot of staying up to date, adapting to changes,
Yeah.
and making sure everything they do is responsible and transparent.
You got it. And looking ahead, it'll be really interesting to see how J&J keeps adapting to the changes in healthcare.
Yeah.
There are definitely challenges, but also some exciting opportunities for growth and innovation.
That's a perfect transition to our next topic.
Okay.
J&J seems to be in a good spot, but no company can avoid challenges completely.
That's true.
What are some of the hurdles they're facing?
Okay.
And how are they dealing with those obstacles? Okay, so we've covered a lot about J&J, how they work, what makes them different. But let's talk about the money. How are they actually doing financially?
Yeah, let's get into the nitty-gritty of those numbers. Because a strong bottom line, that's crucial for any company.
Especially one that's, trying to make big moves in healthcare.
Absolutely, especially with those ambitious goals. So remember, we're looking at them after they spun off that consumer health division.
Right, Kenvue.
Exactly. So these numbers are really showing us their core business now. So their 2023 results, those are pretty telling.
Right.
Total sales, $82.7 billion.
Whoa.
Innovative medicine brought in $52.3 billion of that.
Okay.
And medtech contributed a solid $30.4 billion.
So they're making a lot of money.
Yeah, and that's considering all that competition we talked about.
Right, but revenue, that's just one piece of the puzzle.
Exactly.
What about their profit? Are they actually making money from all those sales?
Well, their net earnings for 2023, those came in at a very healthy $35.2 billion. So they're not just bringing in revenue, they're managing their costs well, making those smart investments that, really pay off.
So it seems like they found that sweet spot, investing for growth, but also keeping that profit margin looking good.
Mm.
What are the key things driving this profitability? Is it just those strong sales, or is there more to it?
It's definitely a mix of things. Strong sales are a big part of it, but they're also really focused on being efficient.
Mm-hmm.
Remember how they decided to drop some of those R&D programs?
Yeah.
That might have cost a little upfront,
Right.
but in the long run, it frees up resources.
Makes sense.
Lets them put more focus on the areas that are more likely to, bring in bigger returns.
So sometimes you have to cut back to grow stronger.
Exactly. And it's not just about saving money.
Okay.
They're really good at figuring out what their customers need and adapting to that, like how they're investing in digital health.
Yeah.
That's a booming market, and it could make their current operations even smoother. Plus, potentially create whole new revenue streams.
It's about staying ahead of the game, finding new ways to give value to customers and make a profit while doing it.
You got it. Now, let's talk about their shareholders, another big part of financial performance.
Right. Yeah.
J&J has a long history of giving back to its shareholders,
Mhm.
mainly through dividends and share buybacks.
Yeah, investors definitely pay attention to that. Those consistent dividends, that's like a steady stream of income.
Yeah, and share buybacks, that often shows confidence in the company's future.
Mm-hmm.
And J&J's actions, they speak for themselves. They've been raising their dividend for 61 years in a row. That's impressive.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah, and they've been actively repurchasing shares. It shows they're committed to their investors, sharing their success. So it seems like they're doing pretty well financially.
They are.
But what about the future? Can they keep this up? Or are there some potential problems down the road?
That's a good question. I mean, no company is perfect, right?
Right. And there are always risks. We talked about some of the challenges, increasing competition, those pricing pressures from healthcare payers,
Hmm.
and the constantly changing regulations. Those could definitely impact their profits down the line.
So even a company as successful as J&J, they're not immune to what's happening in the market. What are they doing to kind of handle those risks and stay strong?
J&J has a lot going for them. They have a great brand, lots of different products. They're global, and they're really dedicated to innovation.
Mm-hmm.
They're also making strategic moves, putting money into things like digital health and personalized medicine. Those could really drive future growth and help them deal with some of those challenges.
So they're not just sitting back. They're taking action to stay ahead of those challenges.
Exactly. Financial performance isn't just about looking back. It's about understanding what drives those results and seeing if the company can adapt to a changing market.
It's about looking forward, knowing that past success doesn't guarantee future success.
Especially in a field like healthcare, that's always changing.
Well, I think we've really gotten a good look at Johnson & Johnson today.
Yeah.
We explored their business model, what makes them stand out, how they operate, and, of course, how they're doing financially. It's been really interesting to see what makes this company tick, going beyond those everyday products.
I hope you, our listeners, have learned something new about Johnson & Johnson. We've seen how they've managed to be successful for so long. Their commitment to innovating, making strategic decisions, and that focus on giving value to their customers, both the patients and the healthcare professionals.
It shows how important it is to understand how businesses work,
Mm,
especially those that deal with our health.
absolutely. It helps us make better choices as consumers, as investors,
Mm-hmm.
maybe even as future leaders in the healthcare industry.
Yeah, and while J&J definitely faces challenges, they have a history of overcoming them.
Right.
They adapt, they're resilient,
Mm-hmm.
and they keep innovating. I think that shows they're in a good position to deal with whatever comes their way in healthcare.
I agree. And I think they'll continue to play a big part in shaping the future of health.
So next time you see a J&J product, maybe think about everything that goes into making that product.
Or when you read about some new medical breakthrough, remember the work and decisions that went into it.
It's a whole world of innovation, strategic choices, and a desire to make people's lives better all over the world.
And who knows? Maybe one of our listeners will be the one driving that innovation, shaping the future of healthcare. Maybe you'll be building the next Johnson & Johnson.